All right, I'd like to introduce Robert. I think all of you know him in various ways, and this is the second of our meetings to discuss his book and his ideas of the 10,000 things. And in general, there's sort of two parts to this whole process that are all mixed together. And the first part is for each of us to share what we're interested in, what tweaked our interest about Robert's book and his ideas. And then the second element of this is if we have any questions for Robert, we ask Robert questions, and the discussion just goes. So here we go.
John and I've known Robert through Facebook, I guess, for many years. Anyway, I think what attracted me is Robert wrote down things that many of us have been aware of but have not spoken publicly because they're not widely accepted. So I think Robert made some things very clear that people like John and I have been thinking about or looking at for many years. And so, Robert, I enjoyed your interview on Batgap and that work that got me to buy your book.
Well, actually, I thought of what you just said this last week when the Trump book came out. Exactly, that book just says things that everybody really knows, but the guy actually just says it instead of wrapping it up in some kind of how wonderful my intuition is and I'm connected to the cosmos and all that bullshit.
Right,
Just say what you see. Be an ordinary human, and we can discuss these things in a real way.
Right.
You don't have to come off like some kind of expert to deal with these questions. In fact, John's comment I like very much, John Troy, because that's how I feel about it. When you get to the end of the book, you should know a lot less than you thought you did when you started reading that book, a lot less. I think this kind of thing that's happening, the excitement about this book and the interest in it, is exactly what you said. We all really know this in our hearts, that we don't know the truth about anything.
Right.
All we know is we're here. So how come all of these intelligent people, experienced people, are so interested in this book? And it seems profound. And it is. And I ask myself, how did that happen? I think it happened because I'm not lying. And I think most of the spiritual teachers are lying. They're lying when they teach us that there's something else that you don't have now, and there's this way of getting it. That's a lie, and that's the lie that keeps us all going around and around and around and around, and thinking if I could only just understand a little bit more of what Nisargadatta was really saying, then I would somehow be one with the absolute like he was. But they were trained in a certain very strict manner so that they have cognitive biases. We all have them. Theirs were in the direction of a God, although it wasn't called that in Vedanta, above all of this. And everything we're doing is just Leela. See, it's just nothing. That's a point of view. Actually, I can have that point of view myself. In fact, I like to go into that when I feel really ill and sick. I go, well, that's just Leela. Meanwhile, I'm not my body. See, we can do that. But is that really the ultimate? That's it? Dissociation is the ultimate psychological state? Or is being, without any idea of what it all means, another solution, which may be more effective and better in some way than dissociation, if you follow what I mean by that. Dissociation is when splitting. It's when I'm not the body. Oh, really? I could do some things that might convince you that you are the body. Yes, you kick them in the shin after they go on and on babbling about that. That's the old Zen trick. Oh, really? Well, what do you say? So I think these Indian cats that influenced the Advaita community so deeply really confused a lot of us. The more Christian your background was, the more devout a Christian you were, and in rebellion against that, that's why you were looking to the East in the first place. The more you were ready to lap that up, because it gave you God without being a Christian, which is what you wanted to do. Well, I didn't want to do that. I was born into a Jewish family, but I thought God was bullshit when I was 8 years old, and I was right. And so I'm not in rebellion against religion. I never have been. I just see it for what it is. It's a total delusion. And it's perpetuated by this deep need that we have for our lives to be meaningful. And so all of these Westerners flocked to India to find meaning in this place where people are starving to death, and they got the caste system, and everyone's loaded down with all these superstitious beliefs. And they were primed by their Christian magical thinking. In rebellion against it, they go to India. Oh yes, I'll touch your hand, drink your urine, whatever it is. Fuck, man, come on. So the 10,000 Things is really about, let's bring that to an end. Let's inhabit our human presences, feel our emotions, love one another, and not have to have this ultimate spirituality that we're seeking, but just be what we are right now. For me, that is good enough. That's my confession. That's what the 10,000 Things is all about. Because of this awakening, I wake up every morning intact, without anything to solve. And because I'm not running my brain on these questions to solve, it's very easy for me to see the world around me. I have a very clear space. But I'm not saying that's because I'm this magical human that comes along once in every 5 years or 1,000 years. That's not what I'm saying.
Yes, I just want to say something that I think fits here very well. Part of what really attracted me to work with you on the book was precisely that just being with you, I see clearly somebody who accepts openly and just presents himself as an ordinary being. And that sort of gives me permission, to just be an ordinary human being as well. It's like this open space to just simply be. And I'm very deeply thankful for that. I've never, and we've met so many times, I've never seen in you disapproval. I've never seen in you nothing but openness and acceptance, and just with all my ordinariness, or whatever you say it, but you present it first. You are the embodiment of that, just ordinary, and that's beautiful. Such a gift.
Wow. Thank you, Elena. I love you too.
That really wasn't my question.
Well, you don't know me as well as Elena does. So.
Yes. When I first met Robert in Catania, I picked him up at the Raleigh-Durham airport. And upon emerging from the escalator and our eyes meeting, there was a seamless recognition that wasn't personality or personal within Robert's form. It was seamless and very peaceful in a way. And when Robert walked up to me, he expressed that and affirmed that with me in our mutual recognition. But it wasn't personality related. It included all those people in the airport and everything around it, the structures and escalator and everything. Everything was illuminated beautifully in our meeting, and that's never changed. That's been we have a really, really wonderful friendship. I have great respect for it. But that mutual recognition of what one might call awakeness, I don't know if we can call it anything, but that mutual recognition is true. It is true.
Okay. I have a question about the value of things inside of practices, inside of Buddha as a scientist. That if we're all wrapped up in these stories, there are ways to dismantle those. There are ways and practices to take ourselves up, metaphorically up to that mesa where Robert was, to have this experience and experiences like that. And it's like when I take on the four noble acts, kind of as Stephen Batchelor calls them, not truths, and train myself to start to see that happening versus the capitalist structure or whatever that I've usually got rolling in my head. That helps me dismantle these things and create openings. It's literally a training or a practice, like you would have to learn how to run distance, and pretty soon you run distance if you run long enough, and you can do it. So where does other practices that you have done or can recommend, or along those lines?
I never saw a picture of who was speaking. Who was that?
Ralph Cheney.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm up at the.
I see. I see. You're being shot out of a cannon.
Yes.
That's what I see. Okay. So what practices would I recommend? I think I touched on it a little earlier. Self-honesty about what you know and don't know. Not a striving to change, but an honest recognition of oneself in this moment. All your feelings, your desires, your fears, your essence, your being. We have to, sooner or later, we must come to this. We must. So the practices will be an avoidance. It may be necessary to take the long way around by having a practice, but that's not the direct way. But I'm not saying no one needs it. I've never said that. If meditation is the practice, okay, that's the one. We all agree on that, I think. I don't know if we all agree on it, but that's what I say. Meditation is the practice. If you need a practice, then do that one. But understand that you don't have to do that practice. You could awaken right now if you simply understand that there is no alternative to this. There never is. There never was. There never will be. And you see, I say this, to me it's clear. It's clear as a mountain stream. And that's what John Troy likes to say. It's as innocent as a babbling brook. What he said about me, I babble. I love that, John. You're as innocent as a babbling brook, he says to me. That's all you have to do is be. That's all you have to do. It's all you can do. There's this idea of attaining this more comfortable, commodious mind space, self-imagination. And you just have to deal with this, whatever this is, whatever this is. You may be in great pain. Some of us that probably in this group have experienced quite a bit of physical pain, I would wager. And yet in those moments, you can actually be. People have done it. That's meditation. Meditation is simply, Elaine is a teacher of Vipassana meditation. She's a wonderful teacher of it, wonderful, the best. And what makes her so good is that she's honest about her motives. She's not doing it to become enlightened or to get to the end of the yellow brick road, the Eightfold Noble Path and all this. That's not why she does it. That isn't it. And so it has credibility. She has a motive that for me has credibility, which is to be with oneself. So that's the practice. Whatever you have to do, if you have to take the long way around and purify yourself for 28 years or whatever, stare at a brick wall, whatever you have to do, okay. But sooner or later, there's going to be this moment of recognition. And what is that? And what I'm saying it is, to me, is very simple. You have deified some previous awake person. So you have framed awake as something unattainable. You've set up this impossible scenario right from the beginning. See, and so once it's framed that way, you're dead. You're defeated right from the beginning. If you think the Buddha was awake and it's going to take me 11,000 lifetimes, I have to gain merit, and my ass will be tired from all that sitting I have ahead of me and all the rest of it. If you really think that, you framed it wrong. And what I'm trying to do, and it didn't take courage, but now that it's out there, the book's been published, people like it. What I'm trying to say is stop deifying anybody or anything, any idea, any person, any procedure. Just understand it's just all human doings. And then you have freedom. Then you will see that you are awake. You wake up in the morning and the world appears. How much more awake can you be than that?